The echo of empty hallways had become Elias Thorne's constant companion, a hollow whisper that amplified the void where laughter and lessons once thrived. At 78, the retired teacher sat on the worn wooden bench outside his old classroom, the school's after-hours silence pressing in like an uninvited guest. In that moment of crushing isolation, he turned to the janitor mopping the floor nearby and uttered words born of desperate longing. "Please, sit with me just for a while and pretend to be my son." Elias's voice trembled, carrying the weight of years unspoken. The janitor, a sturdy man named Marco with calloused hands and kind eyes hidden behind a lifetime of quiet labor, paused mid-swipe, his mop dripping forgotten water onto the linoleum. He had seen Elias here before, a ghost haunting the school he once ruled with chalk and compassion, but never had the old man spoken to him like this. Marco hesitated, glancing around the deserted corridor where shadows danced under flickering fluorescent lights. "Sir, I'm just cleaning up. Got a family waiting at home." But Elias's eyes, rimmed with unshed tears, held a plea that transcended words, a raw hunger for connection that Marco recognized from his own late-night reflections on life's fleeting bonds. Slowly, Marco set down his mop and bucket, the metallic clank echoing like a reluctant agreement. He lowered himself onto the bench, the wood creaking under his weight, and for the first time in what felt like decades, Elias felt the warmth of another human presence beside him. "Thank you," Elias whispered, his voice cracking. "It's been so long since I've had someone to talk to like this. My real son, well, he's gone now. Lost to the world, you see." As the minutes stretched, Elias began to unravel the threads of his life, weaving a tapestry of memories that had been locked away in the silence. He spoke of his days as a teacher, molding young minds in this very building, where the air once buzzed with questions and discoveries. "I remember little Tommy Jenkins," Elias said, a faint smile breaking through his sorrow. "He was a troublemaker, always doodling instead of listening. But one day, he drew a picture of the solar system so detailed it put my lesson plans to shame. I kept that drawing for years." Marco nodded, unsure how to respond, but sensing the old man's need to be heard. He adjusted his posture, trying to embody the role thrust upon him. "Sounds like you made a difference, Dad," he ventured, the word feeling foreign on his tongue, yet oddly fitting in this makeshift father-son charade. Elias's eyes lit up at the term, a spark igniting in the dimness of his solitude. He continued, delving deeper into his past. Born in a small Midwestern town during the Great Depression, Elias had clawed his way to education through sheer determination, becoming the first in his family to attend college. Teaching wasn't just a job. It was his calling, a way to pay forward the kindness of mentors who saw potential in a poor farm boy. But life has a way of taking back what it gives, Elias sighed, his gaze drifting to the faded posters on the wall, remnants of science fairs and history projects long past. His wife, Clara, had been his anchor, a fellow teacher with a laugh that could fill any room. They had one son, Benjamin, a bright boy who inherited his mother's curiosity and his father's stubborn streak. Ben was everything to us. He wanted to be an engineer, build bridges that connected people. The story flowed like a river bursting its banks, carrying tales of family vacations to the Grand Canyon, where Ben marveled at nature's architecture, and quiet evenings reading aloud from classic novels. Elias described the pride swelling in his chest when Ben graduated college, the hug shared under commencement confetti. But then came the shadow, a diagnosis that shattered their world. Cancer, aggressive and unforgiving, claiming Clara first, leaving Elias and Ben to navigate grief's treacherous waters together. "We leaned on each other," Elias recounted, his voice thickening with emotion. "Ben moved back home, took care of me even as he built his career. But time is cruel. A car accident on a rainy night stole him from me 5 years ago. Since then, it's just been this silence, mocking me every day." Marco listened intently, the weight of Elias's confession settling on him like a heavy coat. He thought of his own son, Luis, waiting at home with stories from school, and felt a pang of guilt mixed with empathy. "I'm sorry, Dad. That sounds unbearable. What got you through it?" Elias paused, staring at his wrinkled hands folded in his lap. "The memories, I suppose. And coming here, to this school, it's the only place that feels alive with echoes of the past." He turned to Marco, Eyes searching. Tell me about yourself. Pretend. Pretend you've been away at college, and you're catching me up. Marco swallowed, improvising as best he could. Well, classes are tough, but I'm managing. Engineering's no joke, lots of late nights with blueprints and equations. Remember how you used to help me with math homework? A chuckle escaped Elias, genuine and warm. Oh yes, you'd grown about algebra, but look at you now. The conversation meandered, building a fragile bridge over the chasm of Elias's loneliness. Marco shared snippets of his real life, his wife's homemade tamales, Luis's soccer games, framing them as if from Ben's perspective, infusing the air with fabricated yet heartfelt normalcy. As the clock ticked toward evening, the school's lights dimmed automatically, casting longer shadows. Elias felt a lightness he hadn't known in years, the pretense blurring into something real. But deep down, he knew this was temporary, a borrowed moment in a life of perpetual quiet. Yet, in that shared silence broken by words, a seed of humanity took root. Marco, too, felt changed, reminded of how fragile connections could be. He glanced at his watch, reluctant to end the charade. Dad, I should probably head out soon. But I'll come back tomorrow. Elias nodded, tears glistening. I'd like that, son. More than you know. The next day dawned with a crisp autumn chill, but Elias returned to the bench with renewed anticipation. The school bustled during hours, filled with children's voices that tugged at his heartstrings. But as the bell rang for dismissal, silence descended once more. He waited, watching the janitor's cart roll down the hall. Marco appeared, mop in hand, but this time with a small thermos. Brought some coffee, Dad. Figured we could use it. They sat again, the ritual taking shape. Elias dove into more stories, tales of wartime letters from his father, the joy of grading essays that revealed young souls, and the quiet heroism of everyday teaching. But as days turned to weeks, the pretense evolved. Marco began sharing genuine vulnerabilities, his fears for Luis in a changing world, the strain of long hours, the dream of retiring to a quiet farm. Elias offered advice, drawing from his reservoir of wisdom, turning the role play into mutual support. One evening, as rain pattered against the windows, Elias confessed something deeper. I never told Ben how proud I was. Not enough, anyway. Regret. It's a heavy burden. Marco placed a hand on his shoulder. He knew, Dad. Kids always do. Their bond deepened, a testament to the human need for kinship. Elias found solace in the janitor's steady presence, while Marco discovered the value in listening, in being someone's anchor. Yet, life held surprises. One afternoon, a young woman entered the hallway, her steps hesitant. She was Elena, Marco's daughter from a previous marriage, whom he rarely saw. She had come unannounced, seeking reconciliation after years of distance. Elena spotted her father with the old man and approached. Dad, what's going on here? Marco froze, the twist catching him off guard. Elias looked up, seeing the family resemblance, and felt a surge of unexpected emotion, a glimpse into Marco's own hidden pains. This is Mr. Thorne, Marco explained. We're talking. Elena sat down, intrigued, and the conversation shifted. She shared her struggles as a single mother, and Elias, with his teacher's heart, offered gentle guidance. The twist introduced a new layer, emphasizing that loneliness touched everyone, and connections could heal across unexpected lines. As the session ended, Elias whispered to Marco, "Thank you for bringing family into this." The janitor smiled, the pretense now enriched by reality. The rain continued its relentless drum against the school windows, mirroring the turmoil in Elias's heart as he processed the arrival of Elena. She sat awkwardly on the bench's edge, her presence an unforeseen ripple in the calm pond of their routine. Marco shifted uncomfortably, caught between his fabricated role and the raw truth of his estranged daughter. "I'm sorry to interrupt," Elena said, her voice soft but edged with years of unresolved tension. "I didn't know you had company." She glanced at Elias, curiosity mingling with caution in her eyes. Elias, ever the observer of human dynamics, sensed the undercurrents. "No interruption at all, young lady. Any friend or familiar of Marco's is welcome here." He extended a trembling hand, and Elena shook it, her grip firm yet tentative. As they talked, Elena opened up about her life. A demanding job in nursing, raising her son alone after a messy divorce, the constant juggle that left little room for mending old fences. Dad and we drifted apart after Mom passed. I blamed him for working too much, but now I see it's just how life grinds you down. Marco's eyes welled up, the twist of her arrival forcing him to confront his own silences. I should have been there more, Mija. I let the job swallow me whole. Elias watched this unfold, the scene evoking memories of his own familial fractures, arguments with Ben over career choices, unspoken resentments that time had softened but never erased. In this moment, the pretense deepened into profound reality. Elias encouraged them, drawing parallels to his losses. Family is like a lesson plan, he said. It doesn't always go as intended, but revisions can lead to better outcomes. Don't wait until the silence is deafening. Elena's presence became a recurring element, her visits adding layers to their gatherings. She brought her son, little Mateo, whose energy infused the hallway with echoes of the school's vibrant past. Mateo, wide-eyed and inquisitive, reminded Elias of his students, and he regaled the boy with stories of history's heroes, sparking a light in the child's eyes. One day, as Mateo doodled on scrap paper, Elias noticed the Drawinga crude bridge spanning a river. That's like what my Ben dreamed of building, he murmured. The coincidence stirred something in him, a twist that blurred lines between past and present. Marco, seeing Elias's emotion, steered the conversation. Tell us more about Ben, Dad. What would he think of all this? Elias leaned back, the bench creaking like old bones. Ben was a dreamer, always sketching impossible structures. He believed bridges weren't just for crossing rivers, but for connecting hearts. After Clara died, he built one for us through patience and love. But the accident, it severed everything. The group fell silent, rain now a gentle patter. Elena broke it. Sounds like he lives on in stories. Maybe that's the real bridge. Their sessions evolved into a surrogate family circle, where vulnerabilities were shared like precious gifts. Elias spoke of his teaching triumphs and failures, the student who dropped out, but later returned as a success, crediting his encouragement, the class debates that ignited passions for justice. Marco revealed his immigrant roots, fleeing poverty in Mexico for the American dream, only to find it laced with hardship. I mop these floors so Luis and Elena can walk taller paths, he said, voice thick. Elena added her nursing tales, saving lives in the ER, the heartbreak of loss, the humanity in holding a dying patient's hand. It's like teaching, Mr. Thorne guiding people through their darkest hours. Mateo, absorbing it all, asked innocent questions that cut to the core. Why do people get lonely, Grandpa Elias? The boy had taken to calling him that, a twist that melted Elias's heart. Because life moves fast, little one, and we forget to hold on tight, Elias replied, ruffling the boy's hair. As weeks passed, the bond strengthened, but shadows loomed. Elias's health faltered, a persistent cough, fatigue that no coffee could shake. He hid it at first, not wanting to burden his family, but Marco noticed. You look tired, Dad. Maybe see a doctor? Elias waved it off. Just old age. Let's talk about something happy. Tell me about your promotion, son. Marco played along, but worry not. Elena, with her medical eye, insisted on checking him. It's pneumonia, I think. You need rest and meds. The diagnosis hit hard, echoing Clara's illness. Elias felt fear creep in, the silence threatening to reclaim him. But this time, he wasn't alone. Marco drove him to appointments. Elena coordinated care. Mateo brought drawings to cheer him. In the hospital, Elias reflected on this unexpected twist. I asked you to pretend, Marco, but you've given me something real, a second chance at family. Marco squeezed his hand. It stopped being pretend a long time ago. Recovery was slow, but their visits turned the sterile room into a haven. Stories flowed. Elias's wartime childhood, Marco's border crossing, Elena's first life saved. Mateo performed skits, his laughter a balm. One night, Elias shared a pivotal memory, the day Ben proposed a family tradition, annual bridge-building contests with toothpicks. It was silly, but it bonded us. Inspired, they started their own tradition, sharing bridges they'd built that weak acts of kindness, mended relationships. Elias's cough eased, strength returned. Discharged, he returned to the bench, but now with purpose. The group grew. Elena invited a colleague, a lonely widow, adding another layer. Yet, a deeper twist emerged. Digging through old papers, Elias found a letter from Ben, written before the accident. "Dad, if anything happens, remember you taught me to connect. Keep building bridges." Tears flowed as he read it aloud. He knew, Elias whispered. The revelation shifted perspectives, emphasizing legacy over loss. Marco, moved, vowed to reconcile fully with Elena. "You've taught us that, Dad." Their gatherings became a beacon, drawing others retired staff, struggling parents forming a community against isolation. Elias felt fulfilled, the silence banished by voices of connection. But as winter approached, he sensed change. Winter's chill seeped into the school bones, mirroring the subtle shifts in Elias's world. The bench, once a solitary perch, now hosted a growing circle of souls seeking solace. Yet, amid the warmth, an undercurrent of impending farewell tugged at Elias's heart. One crisp evening, as snowflakes danced outside, Elias arrived early, clutching a worn photo album. Marco, Elena, Matteo, and the widow, Mrs. Hargrove, joined him. "Tonight," Elias announced, "I want to share the full story of Ben, not just the end, but the beginning." He opened the album, pages yellowed with time, revealing snapshots of a towhead boy grinning beside a makeshift fort. Ben was born on a stormy night, much like this. Clara and I were terrified new parents, but his cry cut through the thunder like hope. The group leaned in, entranced. Elias described Ben's childhood antics, climbing trees to touch the sky, questioning everything from stars to social injustices. He had this fire, you see. In high school, he organized a protest against budget cuts to the arts program. I was proud, even when it landed him in detention. Laughter rippled, but Elias's voice grew somber. Then came college, where he met Sarah, his first love. They dreamed big, traveling, building sustainable homes. But life twisted. Sarah left for opportunities abroad, breaking his heart. Ben threw himself into work, designing bridges that withstood earthquakes. Marco interjected, "Like the one in San Francisco? I read about his firm's projects." Elias nodded, eyes misty. Yes, he led that team. But success came at a cost: long hours, missed holidays. We argued. I begged him to slow down. "Dad," he'd say, "I'm building legacies." Elena touched his arm. He was right. Look at how he inspires us now. The twist arrived unexpectedly. Mrs. Hargrove, quiet until then, cleared her throat. "Mr. Thorne, I knew your Ben. He volunteered at the community center where I worked. Helped rebuild after the flood. He spoke of you often, said you taught him compassion." Elias's breath caught, a surge of emotion flooding him. This revelation, from a near stranger, reframed his grief. Ben's impact rippled beyond family, touching lives he never knew. "Thank you," he whispered. It's like hearing from him again. The evening deepened their bonds, stories intertwining like vines. Matteo shared his school projecta model bridge, crediting Grandpa Elias's tales. Marco confessed his secret dream, writing a memoir about his journey. Elena vowed to pursue advanced nursing certification, inspired by Elias's perseverance. As sessions continued, Elias's health stabilized, but he pondered mortality. "I've lived a full life," he told Marco privately. "But this suscits the best chapter." Spring thawed the world, bringing renewal. The group organized a bridge-building event at the school, inviting alumni. Dozens came, sharing how Elias shaped them. One former student, now a senator, credited him for igniting his civic passion. Amid the crowd, Elias felt overwhelmed by love. Yet, a personal twist loomed. A letter arrived from Ben's old colleague, enclosing designs Ben left unfinished. "He wanted you to have these, Mr. Thorne. Said you'd know what to do." Elias pored over the innovative bridges for underserved communities. With the group's help, he contacted nonprofits, turning Ben's vision into reality. Marco coordinated logistics, Elena fundraised, Matteo drew promotional art. The project galvanized them, emphasizing collective healing. Elias addressed the team. "Loneliness is a chasm, but together, we bridge it." Summer brought warmth and challenges. Marco faced a job scare, budget cuts threatened his position. The group rallied, petitioning the school board with Elias's eloquent letter. "This man isn't just a janitor, he's a pillar," it read. Success followed. Marco kept his job, gratitude deepening. Elena reconciled with her ex for Matteo's sake, crediting the circle's support. Elias, reflecting, wrote letters to each. To Marco, "You've been the son I needed." To Elena, "Your strength reminds me of Clara." To Matteo, "Build bridges that last." As fall neared, Elias's cough returned, worse. Tests revealed advanced illness, the same cancer that took Clara. The news devastated them. In the hospital, they gathered. "Don't mourn yet," Elias said. "Celebrate what we've built." Stories flowed, laughter amid tears. Marco held his hand. "Dad, you've taught us to connect. We'll carry that." Elias smiled weakly. "And you've shown me kindness knows no pretense." In his final days, peace enveloped him. The silence, once oppressive, now held echoes of love. On a quiet morning, Elias passed, surrounded by his chosen family. They grieved, but honored him with a memorial bridge dedication Ben's design realized. The bench became a landmark, inscribed, "Where connections begin." Years later, Marco sat there with Luis, sharing the tale. "It started with a simple ask," he said, "and changed everything." The legacy endured, a testament to human bond's power. But the story didn't end with Elias's passing. It rippled outward, touching more lives in ways unforeseen. Marco, now the unofficial guardian of the bench, continued the gatherings, evolving them into a community support group for the lonely and bereaved. Elena took the lead in organizing, her nursing skills extending to emotional care, while Matteo, growing into a teenager, designed a website to share stories of connection. One evening, as the group shared under twilight, a new face appeared, a young engineer named Alex, drawn by the bridge dedication plaque. "I read about Ben Thorne," he said. "His designs inspired my career." But who was Elias? Marco smiled, recounting the tale from the beginning. The retired teacher's plea, the janitor's hesitant agreement, the twists of family and revelation. Alex listened, moved. "I lost my father young. It resonates." Alex joined, bringing expertise to expand Ben's projects. He revealed a twist. His firm had unknowingly used Ben's preliminary sketches in a major build. "Your son's work lives on globally." The news brought closure and joy. Elena, now thriving, started a foundation in Elias's name, funding education and mental health initiatives. He taught us that silence can be broken with one act of kindness. Matteo, inspired, pursued architecture, vowing to build bridges of the heart. Marco retired eventually, but the bench remained his anchor, where he mentored youth. Decades passed, the school modernized, but the hallway preserved as a heritage site. On Elias's centennial birth anniversary, descendants gathered, Marco's grandchildren, Elena's family, Alex's team. They unveiled a statue, Elias and Marco on the bench, symbolizing unlikely bonds. Speeches echoed values of empathy, resilience, humanity. In quiet moments, Marco whispered to the empty air, "Thanks, Dad, for pretending and making it real." The silence, forever transformed, hummed with life's enduring connections.